Good. Thank you so much. What a way to start our morning, just to remember there's only one life that we're all part of. That life is God or good or love or creativity, whatever you want to call it, but there's only one. We're all part of that. But what we forget sometimes is that each point of expression, that oneness individualizes itself as us. So this room, although we're all one, is full of individuals all on different paths going to that same place. Yet in that individualized expression that we are, at times it's so important to step back and just remember there is a unity running through all of us, a unity. Ernest Holmes says that even though life becomes uniquely individualized at every point of expression, that expression is always, no matter who we're talking about here, okay? It's always consistent and in conformity with a basic unity that we call God, and God is good. That's for us to remember, for us to be able to step back. You know what I find out the problem is, at least I'm seeing that right now, and even though, it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we do have sides against each other, but boy, are they even heightened right now. The whole world is stirred up, and I think it's so exciting that we can find out where we stand. We can use that fuel to really get clear on what's true and right and good in the world. Do you feel that inside yourself, to really start analyzing what's going on inside of you? We're all packaged differently externally. I mean, we come packaged in different skin colors, different national origin, different economic levels, different sexual orientations, all sorts of different packages we're in externally. But truly, our real diversity comes from our ability to have free will and to have diverse thinking. That's the greatest gift we have. We can look at things and get confused at things. People look different, they act different. But the real difference comes from our beliefs that we have, that we're all allowed to believe differently, to have different moral principles that guide us. And I truly believe that no matter what is going on in this world, there is goodness in everyone. Goodness there in all of us. And we're all seeking for a good thing. Yet we express it differently, and that's where our uniqueness really shows up, is that we can choose different thoughts and ideas. But what's happened, as I see it in the world, is we've gotten to these two extremes, and we're forgetting we need to come together and see that basic goodness, that unifying thread, and honor and recognize one another. If you and I would just be aware that we have these two brains going on at the same time. We have this old brain, that's the reptilian brain, that was developed 500 million years ago, give or take a day or two. And that brain has a good purpose in our life. It keeps us safe. It keeps us reproducing. It has reflexes, responses, quick. Fear, control, dominance, to keep us safe. And it has its place. But we have a new brain, and that new brain was developed 200 million years ago. So we've had some time to work on it. Maybe we haven't worked on it hard enough. That new brain is the place where all creativity and imagination comes from. It's where we have our conscious choice, where we can decide how we want to think, what we want to do. It's where empathy resides. I think we've done a really good job with empathy. Gosh, I know Kirk and I have been watching some of the movies that are out, and we end up crying in most of them because it's empathy for the human experience. It's so beautiful. But we're called right now to expand that empathy. We can't just feel for the human condition of people we understand or watch them grow. We have to have empathy when it's hard to do. We have to be willing right now at this time to understand there's something so much greater going on. If we would go back, our teaching is called New Thought, and I guess that means it could be 200 million years old, but New Thought ancient wisdom. And if you and I would take time in our daily practice to read the teachings of Buddha, Jesus. Last week I talked about the simple Sanskrit word namaste. The God in me sees the God in you. And stretch this empathy to a greater understanding. I guarantee you our world would change. I want to share you know how I love to talk about the Sufi mystics. And Rumi has a cute little reading, and it's about how we can look at things differently if we're coming from a limited sense of self or an expanded sense of self. And it's called a mixed breed apple. A little mixed breed apple, half red, half yellow, tells this story. A lover and the beloved get separated. Their being apart was one thing, but they have opposite responses. The lover feels pain and grows pale. The beloved flushes and feels proud. Oh, look at my individualized expression of life. That's not what Rumi says, but that's what Ernest Holmes says. And I'll say it. Look. Oh, I am a thorn in my master's rose. We're here because in the perfection of all life, we feel pain, we make mistakes, we do stupid, dumb things, but we still always are part of the master's rose. He goes on to say, we seem to be two, but we are one. It's all about our perception in life and how we see things. I think a lot of it is getting stirred up in life right now. How many of you have felt angry, a little anger here or there sometimes in the last few weeks? A little anger at way different people are behaving. It doesn't matter what people you're angry at. I think a lot of us feel anger, but anger can be really, really, really good if we use it to give us fuel, to have a voice, if we give it fuel to make us move when we could be stuck. It's an opportunity. The trouble comes when we get disgusted. Disgusted means it feeds hatred, it feeds separation, it feeds war. We need to really move away, do whatever we can in our spiritual practices to not let disgust take over, but let us know, what is life asking of me right now? You know, I think the most important thing for us is to understand ourselves, the thorn part of ourselves and the rose part of ourselves, and to be able to listen to one another, to listen to one another. We can get in a moral silo, all of us, and say, I'm right, you're wrong. Have you been there?
Yes.
We get there because we feel right, you know. We are right, part of us. And the one we're pointing out at is part right too, because rightness lives in everyone and everything. That's when we say life is inherently good. We just express it differently. And if we'd have the courage to get out of our silo and just listen, that's part of the empathy I'm talking about. It's time for us to listen to one another. We don't need to be right. We don't need to agree. Whew. It's all part of us growing and evolving. Darwin said evolution is absolutely necessary for us to grow and evolve. It's necessary for life. And part of evolution is evolving at different paces and places and spaces. And we're going to think differently. We're going to feel differently. But that unity we talk about isn't unity we have to think the same or be the same or live the same. It's unity and understanding that we're all part of this beautiful process of life that's happening right now. Now, there's a lot of people that are stepping up and wanting to be heard right now. And that's a good thing if we listen with an empathetic ear. I'm going to share something that came from the home office of Centers for Spiritual Living in reaction to some of the actions that are taking place right now. Now, you might not agree with what I read, and you know what? It's okay. You don't have to agree with it. There's a piece of truth in all things. But our teaching stands on the basic fundamental value and core belief that we believe in diversity and we believe in inclusivity. And our home office says standing with religious leaders of faith. And it said Centers for Spiritual Living stands in solidarity with leaders and faith organizations who have spoken out about the executive order from the President of the United States of America that bans immigrants from 7 majority Muslim nations, including Syria, whose residents have been subject to ongoing deadly civil war. Even if you don't agree with that, listen to a truth you hear in that, because that's what my wish and my desire is for people today, to just be willing to hear the right and truth, even if it's a little bit, in who you talk to and what you do. Centers for Spiritual Living embraces the United States of America's values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which to us means the inclusion of all people. Therefore, we affirm what is written at the base of the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. We stand in solidarity with religious faith leaders who believe that it is possible to create a world that works for everyone without the loss of human rights or national security. In following the example set by Jesus, who in Matthew 12:13 said, "Stretch forth thine hand." Our organization extends our hand out to others to promote goodwill, love, compassion in the form of this affirmation of our solidarity. In the spirit of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who stated that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The day we become silent about things that matter. We choose not to be silent, and instead we appeal to our leaders to work toward human dignity and compassion for those who turn to our nation for help. Centers for Spiritual Living values and celebrates the individual uniqueness and contribution of all people. The uniqueness and contribution of all people, as they express through differences of gender, ethnicity, culture, history, experience, talents, and sexual orientation. Therefore, we commit to speak for and stand with those who are working diligently to uphold our Constitution and our Bill of Rights by protecting human rights and the dignity of all people. We commit to standing with those who refuse to discriminate on the basis of race, religion, nationality, gender, or sexual orientation. If this is something that you agree with, beautiful. I have some copies out there you can take. And if it's something you have trouble with and there's a different truth that you're standing in, that's okay too. Find the truth in this. And let's meld the two together, because the truth is always somewhere in the middle. You know, Hafez, another beautiful 13th century mystic, says, "There's a beautiful creature living in a hole you have dug. I often sing to you, but still, my dear, you do not come out. I have fallen in love with someone who is hiding inside of you." Will you take a moment right now and just close your eyes? And if you have been upset or angry with yourself in any way, or anything that's come about, I want you to take a moment and I want you to speak these words to yourself. I have fallen in love with someone who is hiding inside of you. As we teach, there's nothing that keeps us bound except our limited thought about ourselves and others. There is nothing that keeps us bound except our limited thought about ourselves or others. I want you to take that for yourself and then expand it out. If there's someone in your life that you're having a problem with right now, just say it again. I have fallen in love with someone who is hiding inside of you. Everyone has that desire to love and be loved. Everyone